I know that sigh you opened up with there.
I already know what's coming.
So, let's get hyped. Get hyped. Get hyped. I don't know what I'm doing right now. This is literally my lame attempt to try and hype myself right now. So this week's, folks, we had something very, well, existed. It exists.
That
it's
is
real.
a very good word. I like that. Existed. I think a
Dropped.
lot of people feel this way too about it.
Dropped on us, Star Wars fans. And of course, when we mention that existing thing, I don't even know what word to use for. Of course, when I refer to this thing, I'm referring to what may be the final Skywalker related. There's not even Skywalkers in there. I don't.
None of us know.
You're up, man.
My turn. We can't judge everything based off a trailer, but if we did,
Final Star Wars trailer. We'll say that now.
Can we be honest with ourselves? Episode 7 and Episode 8 had better trailers.
Mm.
However,
I wonder, is it that the trailers were better, or are we just defeated at this point?
we've given up.
Yeah. So let's go to the our intro.
It's an instinct. A feeling. The Force brought us together.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Alright folks, now we're back. And that's right, this week was the release of the latest Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker trailer. Which Skywalker is rising? We don't know, because we killed them all off, possibly. But here we go, folks.
We got a solo left.
Yeah.
A solo left.
Sort of. That is a solo, technically.
Well, there's no other ones. I mean, Carrie Fisher is dead, but still Leia is alive.
I still don't know what they're going to do with Rey's parentage, because I know they said
Yeah.
it's nothing, but then they're saying they're gonna, so...
People
kept saying they know me. Really? I didn't say that.
as the fans let her know in the comment section,
Yeah.
we don't know you.
Who are you?
That's a good question.
But let's move things up a bit, though, because there are good things from this trailer. There are things to be excited about. And so let's talk about, so what were the things, like, some of the stuff you liked from this trailer? What are some of the positives? What's your favorite? What are you excited for?
My positive, I'm going to say C-3PO's speech, but not for the reason because that's also going to be one of my negatives. Positives, the effects. Effects always look good. JJ always does a good job, especially when the ship's coming out of the ice. You see it in size comparison.
I love that scene where the Star Destroyers are breaking up out of the ice. I think that's so cool. Like, how long have they been dormant down there? And what's, like, is there a full crew to them? Is it some sort of, like, radio control? What's going on here? Like, I love that visual. That's so cool.
The question is, are we going to see actual original trilogy Stormtroopers
I'm
go along with
hoping
those?
so. Literally, that goes along with my... So now we've got the OG Star Destroyers. Let's get some OG Stormtroopers with some OG Imperial presence and tactics. None of this First Order. Empire.
You know what I just realized? If the First Order has to fight the Empire, that's going to be a non-stop... No, that's going to be a non-stop thing, because they both miss.
The Stormtroopers, yeah, the two
That could go on forever.
We just have to wait for some Imperial commandos to come in and wipe them out.
I guess.
Or Palpatine will just zap them all. Just show that clip on screen right there.
Oh my.
I love that clip so much. When the Wi-Fi's super fast at home. And it's 3 a.m. and no one else is using it. Unlimited power!
Oh boy, the fans and their comments. Actually, we
literally
should go
doing
into the
this
comments, right? Can we just go into the comments right now because there's no point in talking about goods and bads. It was just bad.
I mean, there's some good points to take about. I mean, so there are good things to take about. I mean, we just got pretty hype over some Star Destroyers. I mean, Star Destroyers are pretty hype. So yeah, I guess I'll give us some of my goods. And my goods are very similar to that. I love the C-3PO. Like, the C-3PO scene there, it is emotional. Also, there's a B-1 battle droid in the background there. That's a nice Easter egg. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the plot. But that would be cool if it did. Though, I see the negative you almost tripped into here. I know what you're going to say. Because, surrounded by my friends, but he really only knows... Lando is not in the shot.
We don't know if he's in there. We don't know actually who's in the shot.
Chewie and R2, yeah.
We can't tell by angles.
I think Chewie's there.
I'm
though.
assuming he doesn't see Luke's Force Ghost.
He might know Poe at this point.
I'm assuming they haven't resurrected Luke to see Luke in the person.
Maybe he has dimension to seeing his old friends.
Leia could be there.
It's possible Leia could be there. We didn't.
But I don't think in the shot he has a red arm, so I don't know what the heck's that all about. They threw
I
that away
didn't-
with his lightsaber.
Yeah, what? I guess so. The red arm from Episode 7. Wow, we're really all over the place.
It was
today.
It was dedicated in the
It was
comic books.
like
I
a
guess
droid
was
that saved
dedicated
his life
yeah,
or something.
something like
yeah,
that.
but then it was gone in 8, and also no one wanted it to be there in 7 because the comic books weren't out yet. So it was.
I feel like I'm gonna knock this prop over.
Yeah, well, we're really.
I want this over.
Did you just? Okay, we're really active this time. We got a little Star Wars guy though. We couldn't get back into my house to get the thermal detonator. I'm sorry, folks.
From the prequel.
Well,
That's one of those
OG
toys
original. Once again, we got our OG pile over here. But no, so I'm really excited for the. I know JJ's going to give us good cinematography. The visuals are going to be very beautiful. Maybe there will be a plot. I think we'll have a plot. I'm not saying it's going to be a good plot, but there'll be a plot. That's kind of more than we had in 8.
I love JJ to death. JJ is one of those directors that inspired me to growing up in Silicon Valley. Of course, it was always George Lucas and Steven Spielberg first, but JJ was always my the person I look forward to for the camera work. Because you know what, Spielberg had your good classic moments and your good classic shots, but there was just so many more shots I thought JJ excelled upon that made me want to become a filmmaker, just to show visually.
James Cameron in that list.
Actually, James Cameron to. Yeah, that's a tricky subject. I love Avatar and I love Titanic, and Terminator. Okay, I guess James
There's a bunch in there.
but they weren't my main.
Okay.
Those 3 were my main. But I'm gonna say this about JJ, and again, I love JJ to death. He doesn't finish stories. So when you say that you're very optimistic that we'll at least have a plot, guys, I'm here to tell you we probably won't have a plot.
I don't know. I think there'll be
We'll have more of a plot than 8.
That's what I said. We'll have more than
Yeah.
8. Like I said, I expect a plot. I don't think it's going to be a good plot. But there'll be something there. That's one of the problems is, so at this point, wow, we really slipped in the negatives really quick. But can you see the struggle here? I mean, there are good things in the struggle, but there's a lot of unanswered questions. Like, I think Episode 9 is going to appease it's going to have more things intended to appease the fans rather than to prove a point or an agenda or anything like that. But one of the problems is just for most fans, we're not connected to these characters. We're not invested in Rey's story beyond, is this over yet? Poe, most of us, unless you're following the Disney EU, I mean, you don't know about Poe. You don't know about Finn. You don't know about half these characters that are showing up. We just, like, when you watch 4, 5, and 6, man, you worry about Han, Luke, and Leia. Like, when Luke loses his hand, oh gosh, I mean, your heart aches. Rey could lose her hand and then be like, yeah, I saw that coming. Of course they're going to do that. In the prequels, when Obi-Wan gets captured by the Geonosians and hanging from the thing and Count Dooku's talking to him, I mean, you're like, wow, how's Obi-Wan going to get out of this? I mean, you know he lives, but you're still like, how is he going to get out of this? These 3 characters, we don't even know for sure if they live. And yet, there's just a feeling of, whatever.
I have to say, though, I think, can we agree upon this? This, out of all the, even, like, we can say, like, this could possibly be the worst trilogy for the Star Wars saga.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the worst casted, even. Like, I mean, you look at the prequels, the reason why you're asking yourself, is Obi-Wan getting out of this, is because he was charismatic. Ewan McGregor was
Ewan McGregor
charismatic.
is fantastic.
Okay? Just like everybody wondered if Harrison Ford was getting out of this as Han Solo. Because they had something to them.
Though you know what people are going to counter? They're going to counter with Hayden Christensen. Because a lot of fans hate him in the prequels.
A lot of fans hated Jake Lloyd too, though. I mean...
Yeah, so I
a
mean...
lot of people just hated the character of Anakin in general, but I personally love the character
It's
of Anakin.
tough to judge the casting. The one thing is, Kylo Ren, Adam Driver, you're great, but he doesn't feel like a son of Han Solo and Leia. Like, I would expect someone that would at least, share some, visual similarities to them, some traits in common. Like, it kind of, you have to suspend. I actually regularly forget that he's their child, because, I mean, to even believe it, you have to really suspend belief.
Can we make our own canon right now? They had an affair.
I mean, we don't know at this
I mean,
point. It
we
could
don't.
be.
They could've-
Maybe Han's just like, oh yeah, he reminded me of a young spacer.
I still disagree that they grew up to be bad parents, though. Because that's what it really came down to with this.
Yeah, I mean that was an element. I mean, who knows? I mean, in the old canon, they did lose a son to the dark side, but it was a very different story. I don't know. It's just, I mean, there's so many questions unanswered. Like they don't give us much in 7. They're just like, oh yeah, he just left, and like it's just after what we've seen them go through in 4, 5, and 6, and the same with Luke running away. It's not enough that it feels out of character for who these characters are. So an interesting, a lot of people are like, well, it's been 40 years. Luke can change a lot. An interesting trait from psychology is that people don't actually change as much as many stories would have you believe. Like there's small changes and there can be shifts in personality and beliefs and things like that. But as a whole, like if you're a stubborn person, like maybe you say you're a very determined person growing up, there's still going to be like inklings of that determination in you. And it just, Luke, I mean, he is a very defeated man. But what topples him isn't something major. Like, if there's something major that changes your life, yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. But he doesn't really, I mean, a student falling to the dark side is really all he had. And, I mean, that's not, I mean, he should know the pool of the dark side better than anyone.
It was just one student, too.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, that student's a family member, but...
It's just, it's not, like, if you have that big traumatic moment, you can have that big life shift. But he doesn't really have that moment. So it doesn't feel, and I know Mark Hamill's come out and talked about this, it's not...
Also, too, I feel like it was, I don't want to say it was too quick that Kylo turned to the dark side, but I feel like it was too quick. I think we would have bought it a little bit more as an audience if we would have had an extended maybe 15 more minutes to see how Luke trained the Jedi.
You know what would have been really cool? If instead of jumping to where they did with the prequels, they set it right there during that training era. Mm-hmm. And we got to see Kylo's fall and redemption or complete fall at the end. And you bring Rey in somewhere in there as the counter thing.
So what you're saying is he starts the falling process.
So start the trilogy
in 7.
20 minutes earlier.
Yes.
Or 20 years earlier.
20 years earlier.
So while Luke's still training, you can still have him run away maybe, but then just bring him back quicker. And don't kill him like Rian Johnson did in the end of 8. Because that's... Like, who's... So I think there's like... So one of the things about this trailer is I think there's like a Rey training montage. I feel like that's coming. If nothing else, because so many fans have complained about her not getting any training. So it's like, who's training her? Is she just using the books she stole in 8? Or is it going to be a Luke Force Ghost? But if it's a Luke Force Ghost...
Do you want to hear what they said?
Why can't you just have...
They said she downloaded, when she was with Kylo, she downloaded
Oh, I did hear that theory.
Okay, well, let's go with that one, because, yeah, that looks so well on paper.
Kylo's not very strong to start with, and...
You know, the worst part about this is, yeah, we haven't had a good actual lightsaber fight.
Yeah.
Which Star Wars, we can...
That was an iconic thing. I mean, even... It is. I mean, some of them, like, yeah, some of them...
I was trying to find the right wording for that, but...
You look at some of the early ones, and yeah, the lightsaber fight from Episode 4. I mean, it's not, super special effect heavy.
But it's iconic with Star Wars.
It's an intense moment. When you see, old Ben fighting Darth Vader, you're like, wow.
And I still hated that anybody... This is going back to 7 now that I'm venting, but I still hated when Finn picked it up that anybody can pick up a lightsaber.
Now, anyone can pick it up. I'm okay with that.
But fight...
You can try.
What do you mean try? He almost beat Kylo.
I know. That's where I have the problem with it. So I'm cool with someone picking up a lightsaber. I'm cool with them fighting with a lightsaber. I'm cool with them even winning if there's like background for it as like a swordsman or something. We've seen that through the movie.
You know how people do cool animations?
Mm-hmm.
Just let there be... Somebody make me an animation where they have like... Maybe like... fighting like in different times or whatever, because I want to see Darth Maul fight Kylo on an animation and just see him annihilate him.
Anyone
2 swings, you're done.
Anyone would. But that's the thing. So the Poe or the Finn one there, that's the big problem with it. So he picks up the lightsaber and he almost beats Kylo just out of nowhere. Which I guess so the canon now says he had sword fighting training as a part of Special Stormtrooper Corps. Which I have to say, through that movie, I never had the impression he was some sort of Special Stormtrooper Corps. Considering like the first time, it seemed like the first time he goes on a mission, he can't handle it. And if he was Special Stormtrooper Corps, I mean that wouldn't have been an issue. So that's what they've sort of, I would say a retcon even, I don't know if retcon would be the correct term here. But then we move past that and we got Rey, who just picks it up. And maybe that's her awakening moment, which is the best excuse I found for it. But I don't know, I mean really, and one of the things is, so Rey has beaten Kylo twice now. Like, if that was the awakening moment, okay, maybe beat him in 7. Okay, maybe. But then lose in 8. Like, she needs to lose so that when she wins in 9, it feels like an earned reward. Because right now she beat him twice. I mean, no one is threatened by Kylo. I mean, we're not even threatened by the First Order. I mean, Snoke's gone. Who was Snoke?
Picture having Luke beat Vader 3 straight films.
If
where would have took his character
if
development?
Luke beat if Vader killed old Ben and then Luke just force grabbed old Ben's lightsaber and beat up Vader, that's kind of what happened here. I mean, actually, that's exactly
exactly what happened.
Because they take Finn out and Finn's the old Ben in that instance. Even though Han is technically the old Ben from that movie. It's just, there's no connection to these characters. And I'd love to hear in the comments if you guys have a connection to these characters or not. Because I've talked to a lot of people, and I've met some people that love Episode 8. And I mean, by some, I mean one person only, out of all the people I've asked. And I thought maybe it was the younger generation that would be connected to these characters. But I'm talking to younger people. I talked to little cousins, I've asked their friends and stuff like that. And I've had him ask people for me. And it doesn't seem like the younger generation really has a connection either.
You know what? I know somebody that does like the Rise of Skywalker. That does like The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to get him on the show because I do want to hear that opinion.
Okay. I've known one person, but it wasn't for Star Wars reasons so much. It was more of it was really just that he liked the diversity.
No, well, this guy's a big Star Wars fan that I know.
Okay.
That likes it. So I think that we should have him on the channel just to.
I'd love to hear.
I'd love because I honestly we've had a few conversations, but I honestly don't know.
I can't see it. That's why I love to learn because I try to keep an open mind, and that's one of the things is I can't really find many reasons to really get into these movies like I would with any of the others. I mean, even so, a lot of people hate Episode 1, Episode 2. I love those movies. They're still, they're not perfect movies. There's scenes where you're like, yeah, I gotta fast forward through this thing, and can someone just cut Jar Jar out of this movie if he's not gonna be Darth Jar Jar? And also the love montage in Episode 2. Mm-hmm. But it's still, I'm glad they're there, because, there's better ways they could have done that. But I still enjoy those movies. And I especially love the Obi-Wan plotline of Episode 2, where he goes to Kamino. Well, he's tracking down Jango, and goes to Kamino, and then he goes to Geonosis, and everything falls apart there.
Now, George Lucas always wrote Star Wars as, based on mythology stories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think that's what made things so great, too, is you found the hero's journey all the way up through. And that's not necessarily mythology, but you see that in all sorts of storytelling. But, you see, the old wise person, which was old Ben, and you see all these different character traits. I want to ask you, because I honestly don't see this at all in the new trilogy. It doesn't even seem like they're mythology-based. There's nothing that enhances the mythology, either A, of Star Wars, or that it grasps anything from mythology, from, the Greeks, the Romans,
So you can see 7 is trying to copy 4, so it has the inklings of it there, but it doesn't entirely do it, but it has the inklings of it there. One of the problems, though, with this new trilogy, and I think that's why it's tough to see anything like that overarching, is because when they started filming them, they didn't have an overarching plan. When JJ started 7, he had maybe an idea for how he thought 9 would end, but they didn't actually know how 9 was going to end. He did not know what Rian Johnson was going to do with 8 when he made 7, and Rian Johnson wouldn't have known what's going to happen with 9. They'd have their own ideas of this is what I hope will happen, but they don't actually know what's going to happen. And that's the big difference versus George Lucas or many big trilogies. When George Lucas started, he didn't just have, 4 planned out. He didn't just have 4 and 5 and 6 planned out. He had more. An interesting thing that one Star Wars fan once told me, which I've never actually confirmed it myself, but they were pretty reliable, so I would trust them, is that the Death Star in Episode 4, the Death Star wasn't supposed to be there. The Death Star is part of 6, which I've mentioned this to you before.
I've seen it in documentaries too.
Yeah, I've heard it a couple times, and I totally believe it. But the idea was, the Death Star was going to be, the Death Star was the big end game. And the only reason there were 2 Death Stars is because he was worried he wouldn't get 5 and 6. Because, it's a big opportunity to get sequels, especially at that time.
Yeah, that was not rare at all. I don't know if any films actually had sequels before,
Mad Max,
scale,
probably.
Blockbuster-wise, though?
Not on that scale.
Yeah.
Mad Max was big, but yeah, not that scale. Yeah, it's a rare thing. And especially going into it, because he hadn't had, that many hits at that point. You never know. So what he did is he took the Death Star from 6 and kind of plucked it out and put it in 4 just so that he could get this opportunity. And then when it was a hit, he was able to keep going, but then he got to 6. So that's really the only thing that he didn't have. He had to adapt his plan, but he still had this overarching plan. And that's what Disney doesn't have with this new sequel trilogy.
The last thing I'm going to say before I wrap it up, Colin Trevorrow is the smartest person alive. He was supposed to be directing this Episode 9.
Backed out.
He backed out. I said, after Solo flopped, after I saw The Last Jedi, I said, he is the smartest individual alive. You keep making your Jurassic Worlds, bud. Because I applaud you.
It's always fun to think of, what would it have been like if this other director had all 3 of them? What if JJ had all 3? What if Rian Johnson had all 3? What if he had all 3? If he got to start and end? I wonder what they would have done. Yeah, wow, we didn't really talk much about the trailer at all. We kind of talked overall on our feelings. There are some cool things about the trailer. One of the cool things I forgot to mention is the Ghost makes an appearance. So if you're familiar with Star Wars Rebels, the Ghost is there during that scene where we see the Millennium Falcon, which the Millennium Falcon has its old satellite dish, which that gets me really excited. It's the old round satellite dish instead of the rectangle that the sequels have used. But the Ghost is next to it, and that really intrigues me because I'm wondering who is driving the Ghost. Is it Hera Syndulla, General Syndulla from Rogue One? Or is it an old friend returning, aka Ezra Bridger, who disappears at the end of Rebels? And the interesting thing is, if Ezra shows up, it's possible Thrawn could show up too, though I don't think Thrawn's going to show up. But it would be really cool to see Ezra in there as like an Easter egg. Not a main plot character, because people don't know him. But though at the same time, I kind of don't want him in this, because I like Ezra and the Ghost crew. So I kind of don't want them, ruined by this movie.
They keep bringing back everything we love. It's going to get ruined anyway.
That's the thing, yeah. They're killing C-3PO now. Possibly.
Well, we don't know that for
Possibly.
sure.
It's probably a fake out, but don't kill C-3PO.
R2 is going to be the one that goes.
Don't kill either of them. You can't kill the droids. They're like the soul of the franchise. But I believe you had some comments to end us out on a light note. So these are comments pulled from the comments of the trailer on YouTube, and I think they're pretty accurate for how a lot of fans are feeling, are also just something that you'll enjoy.
Now, of course, we're not going to release the name of the people that do this for their privacy concern and for our channel. So here's the first one, Jake, and we're going to discuss some of these comments too, maybe if we have anything to say. Visual effects artist. Okay, how many ships do you want? JJ, yes.
Yeah, all of the ships. Yes.
George Lucas had to make 3 movies to turn Star Wars into a cult. Disney only needed 2 to completely destroy it.
We're smaller than Marvel now.
When I was younger, I used to tell people that Star Wars will continue after Episode 6. Everyone laughed at me. Well, they keep laughing even more now. How accurate is that?
Yeah.
I wasn't around for the actual 6th episode when that debuted, so I can't really speak to that one, but yes, that's hilarious. Now, this one's interesting, Jake. I'm a true diehard Star Wars fan, and I'm just going to say, Star Wars has the absolute worst, hateful, whiny, entitled fan base, period. I love this new trilogy, and I'm not ashamed to say so.
Good for you, man. Good for you. I'd love to hear more. That's one of the people I'd love to hear. So explain to me why you like it. Just because it's not like to be rude or anything, but I want to know, because like I don't understand it. And there is a segment of the fan base that's very toxic. But I would say, the majority of these reactions, there's a point where you have to realize it's not just a group of toxic trolls, and you have to realize that no, there's actually, especially like with the flop of Solo. Like since episode 8, I have never seen the fandom like it is now. It's not even like it's not an even division, but it is divided like I have never seen, and it is beyond just a couple of toxic people. Look at us right now. But again, I'd love to hear, give me your reasoning. What do you like about the sequel? What do you enjoy?
My thing, and we've had this discussion too. There's always that little group that's going to be toxic, no matter what fan base, no matter what you cheer for. You could cheer for a sports team, you could cheer for Star Trek, for Marvel. I do feel like us Star Wars fans are honest.
I really don't think, maybe this is just me as a Star Wars fan. I think we're more honest than actual. I don't think we're actually asking for very much.
No.
We want to see certain things. We want cool lightsaber battles, we want cool space battles, but we also just want a good, well thought out story. It's really not that much to ask for. I don't think we're really that tough. I really don't. You see fan films and, whenever you see a Star Wars fan film go up, how encouraging is this community, this fandom? Even, small name ones. Very small name fan films. You just see the comments. People are like, this is great, do more work, keep up your dreams.
I have enjoyed more fan films over the past year than I've enjoyed Disney-released Star Wars films.
But what I like is just the fans are so positive towards, other fans. It's really, there's that little toxic segment, but that's a major, major minority. And I think it's actually just a really encouraging and very open fandom.
Now, next comment, we actually are revealing name because it's Palpatine back from the dead.
Palpatine.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway.
Do it.
Abilities considered to be unnatural.
Do it. Like how this trilogy has stayed alive.
Man, I can't wait to see Rose beat the Emperor with the power of love.
That's the power of love. Huey Lewis in the news. I had one I pulled up here for you. Where is it at? So this is another one to think about. So this comment, I still have no idea what the trilogy is about. And the sad thing is, there's almost 3,000 upvotes on this comment, and not a single downvote. And there's 175 comments agreeing with him. I think that sums up most Star Wars fans. What is this trilogy about? Rey keeps saying that people are telling her we know her. We don't know her. No one knows her. Except maybe, JJ. But he's not telling us. So we don't know either.
Well, this person feels your pain because he says, this feels like purgatory.
You think it's purgatory? They were lower than that.
And then I took a screenshot of the first look Star Wars Resistance trailer.
Oh, yeah. What's our count at now?
That a few days ago was 150.
14K upvotes.
Oh my goodness.
156 downvotes. That is a quality trailer vote right there.
The people that like this video are apparently stormtroopers that missed a dislike.
Okay, on that note, I think we should probably cut it there. This has been another Star Wars themed, Star Wars reaction episode of The Real Deal. Stay lovely, folks.